What can you do about non-paying clients as a freelancer? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Thanks for coming back to the channel once again. I'm going to start this video with a quick rant. Apologies for that. Non-paying clients and scammers are far too common in the language industry, and it annoys me so much. I really can't comprehend how a human with a conscience can rip off a solo entrepreneur who just tries to make a living and just go on about their day. It's mind-boggling to me. But luckily there are things we can do, so rant over. First of all, we can do things to avoid it in the first place, and if it happens, there are steps you can take that you get your money back. That is exactly what we will explore in today's video. But first, I'm very happy to announce that Translator decided to sponsor this video. Please take it away. Big thank you to Alfonso and Translator for sponsoring today's episode. It is an honor to work with you as a brand. Make sure to check their link in the description. All right, let's get to it. First of all, what can you do to avoid not being paid? So what can you do in the first place? That is vetting your clients properly. What I mean by that, concretely, let's say you enter into a negotiation stage with a client, you see like it's getting serious, it might lead to a potential project, and they ask you for a quote. What can you do in that case? Before you send out that quote, make sure to do a thorough background check of the client. So that entails of going to their website, check that it's actually a proper business website and not some shabby HTML scrapped together, right? So make sure that it has different subpages. It actually explains about their company, about their history, who they are. A team maybe is on there. That's always a good sign. Check their LinkedIn profile, see if they post content on there and get interaction. That's a very good sign that they're a legit company. Another thing that's always worth to check if you're working with an agency is to go on the Blue Board by Probst. It's a register where users can actually rate agencies based on their payment practices, how it is to work with them. You can give 1 to 5 stars, and if a company on there has less than 4 stars, that's an immediate red flag for me. Because if the average goes into the 3-2 area, that means that so many people gave them 2 or 3 stars or even 1 star, and I would never even risk to work with them. So for me, a 4 is minimum. Usually it's better to get like a 4.5, 4.8 or even 5. Look for reviews, testimonials, other red flags on the internet about this agency. So the best is to just go on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Pros, and just look up their name and see what comes up. If they are notorious non-payers or scammers, something will come up inevitably. Luckily, the translator community is very outgoing when it comes to online. So we like to share opinions online. So if someone is a prolific scammer, you will probably find their name somewhere if you Google them. If all these checks check out, you can actually go ahead and write the quote, right? There I give you 2 advice. Number 1 is if it's a big project and you've never worked with the client before, make sure to get a prepayment, either the full amount, 50% or 25% is kind of the usual standard. Whatever works best for you. Depends on the size of the project and how comfortable you are with asking for a prepayment. And the number 2 is I would set milestones. If it's really a long project that takes you, let's say 3 months to complete, if you're working on a book, let's say you get it now, deliver end of the year, you don't want to deliver in 3 months, then send an invoice and be paid in 4 months for the work you've been doing, right? You need to sustain a living. You need to get paid during the process. So I would put in the quote already contractual obligation to send an invoice once a month, and they pay what you've done so far. They pay at the end of October, end of November, and the full amount at the end of the year. So you are properly paid during the process. If it's not a big project, I usually don't do these things. I trust my vetting process by now. I think I got quite good in checking, in figuring out who's a scammer or a non-payer. If you're at the beginning and you don't trust your judgment that much yet, I would also suggest for smaller jobs to ask for a prepayment and to do milestones. Once the project is done, make sure to send out the invoice on time. That is on you, right? That's your responsibility. At the end of every month or at the beginning of every month, depending on your work schedule, send out the invoices for that specific month. Make sure you have a standardized system in place. I'm using Probst.com for my invoicing, and there I have all my clients registered, so I can just choose them at the service, and then it creates an invoice with all my invoicing data, VAT number, etc. So make sure you have a standardized system, and then also know when the invoice is due, because you need to follow up. So now the invoice is out, you're done with the project, you're expecting payment, and that is when we enter the next phase of the video, which is what to do if you don't get paid. If you didn't receive payment 5 days after your payment was originally due, that is my cutoff point when I follow up with clients. That I do very, very politely by email. So no judgment, no wishing ill will, no ill intentions, nothing. I'm very polite. I say, this happens to everyone. This invoice was not paid. Can you please let me know? What's the issue? Is something up? Maybe, they have admin issues, technical issues. You always want to get that out of the way, because that's always possible. And it's probably even the most likely scenario if you did properly vetting before, right? Your clients should already be good at that point. And it's always possible that the client was not happy with the quality, right? That's a whole other topic. In that case, you try to figure out a solution, maybe give them a discount at that point, or offer something for free in the future. If it was really your fault, make sure it was your fault. I also have a video on that about negative feedback. You can check here. It's important to know if it was your fault or not, if they are not happy. If they just say, we're not happy, we don't want to pay, they need to provide you with feedback and actual reasons why they don't want to pay, right? If you don't get a response, or you do get a response but still no payment 5 days later, so at the moment we are 10 days, let's say 10 to 15 days after the original payment date, you can do a second follow-up, and now you can use a bit of assertive language, right? Now you warned them once, so now you can actually be strict. You don't need to be too polite. Tell them you reminded them once, you need the payment right now. No threatening with legal action yet, but be assertive. Really tell them, I need this payment by this date, or late payment fee will apply. Maybe you have a terms and conditions that you sent with the quote, and there you should have a late payment fee in there, maybe 5%, 10%, 15%, whatever you want. If you don't have it in there, mention it at this point. Say if this payment is not done by the end of the month, it will apply a 20% payment fee, a late payment fee. So when you pay it only after that, you have to incorporate that additional pay as well. This might hopefully encourage the client to pay right away. If you're already at that point, I'm already suspecting that you are in a non-paying relationship or in a scammer relationship. So I don't like to be at this stage, because it's unlikely that you get paid at this stage, but still polite, but be assertive. If you still don't hear back, let's say after 1 month of the original payment date, it is time to escalate the conversation. What does this mean? Escalating the conversation means usually picking up the phone and calling them, right? Because on the phone you have the most leverage. You can actually get an answer. You can directly call the accountancy department if you have a number. Otherwise, call the hotline and ask for the accountancy department. If they don't want to help you, you can ask for a manager. You maybe have to be a little bit of a Karen in that case. We don't like to do that. It's uncomfortable, but if you really want your money, you have to go through that. Hopefully you never have to do it, but maybe chances are if you start as a freelance translator, you will come across this situation. In my career, it happened twice that I had to go after money. Once it was resolved when I called them and actually pressured them, and they still make excuses with admin, technical issues, but I knew it was 3 months at that time that the payment was due. And I know it was just excuses, but they actually did pay me in the end. The other time I had to threaten with legal actions. In the end, I didn't go through it because it was only 250 euros. And if I went through legal actions, it would have probably cost me more. And I just let it go because it's a lot of work, a lot of emotional and time-consuming effort. So I lost 250 euros, but I think I learned a lot through the process, so it was still worth it. So hopefully by that point you get paid somehow, some way or the other, after the phone call or after several phone calls with the bosses, with the management. And if all fails, they really don't want to pay you, they have a stupid excuse why you shouldn't receive the money, and you think that's not fair, then you can actually consider legal actions. But as I just told you, it's very time consuming, money intensive, emotionally draining. So if it's not an amount above, like let's say €400 or $500, dollars, and depending on your financial situation, of course, think about it twice if you want to do that. You can always threaten, and threatening with legal actions is actually oftentimes already enough, right? But to actually go through with it is tough. So at this point, I would threaten with it, see what happens, and maybe first like talk to a lawyer, talk to your chamber of commerce, or if you are a member of a professional association, like a translators association, they oftentimes have legal advice in there, so you can actually reach out to them to see if they can help you out. And if you still don't get paid, you can actually consider taking a lawyer and going through with it. One thing that is super important is exactly because of that reason, during this whole process, document everything, right? Once you realize that this client might not pay you, so if the payment is due and they don't pay you, make recordings of everything, documents, emails, phone calls as well. If you don't release them, it's not illegal, right? So you can record them, just be careful. With certain jurisdictions, it's not illegal to record a phone call and then release them. Make sure you do everything by the book and legally, but have everything documented, definitely. Lastly, what you can do if everything is over, you can spread the word, right? Whether you got the money back in the end or you didn't and you got burned, but you learned a lot from it, let other colleagues know, like I do now with this video, right? It's important that we communicate this, that we share, that not someone else doesn't fall in the same trap, because these scammers usually just go from one to the next. It's casual business for them, and they get someone every day, and it's sad. And we can actually band together, make experiences and share with others. So go on Facebook. There are Facebook groups for blacklisted agencies, for example. You can write their name there. Write it on Probst, Blueboard, write a review. Only if you're a member you can write a review, but definitely do that. Make sure to keep it very civil and very factual if you write something online, right? You don't want to share private communication. You don't want to share something that is not factually accurate, because they might sue you if you damage their reputation. So just keep it straight to the facts. They're not paying this and this invoice for so long, and I tried everything, but they still haven't paid. So please be careful if you want to work with them. Also consider giving reviews on Google, because Google is the biggest search engine. So if people search their agency and the little Google Maps feature comes up and there it says like 2 stars, then people already know, okay, I have to be careful with that. And there you can actually also catch them out on the other side, because clients would usually find them like this. And if they see a 2-star agency, I don't know if the clients want to work with them. So basically, in other words, try everything to protect your colleagues mainly, but also potential clients of them from the same happening to them. And finally, last but not least, don't blame yourself. It can happen to everyone. It happened to me. It happened to most of my colleagues at one point. It's a learning curve. It's very annoying, very physically, emotionally draining. But if you really focus on the client screening process beforehand, you can avoid it as much as possible. And if it still happens, take it as a learning experience, learn from it, and let other people know that it doesn't happen to them as well. There you go, my 2 cents about non-paying clients. Translastars, again, thank you very much for sponsoring. Check out the link in the description, and I see you next Monday with the next video. Bye bye.